Hello there, welcome to another episode of Ajmal the Developer on HTML tutorial 14. And we're going to discuss forms, HTML forms in this tutorial. So let's go ahead and open the same document and start coding. So this is our VS or Visual Studio Code text editor, which is quite sophisticated and one of the best text editors in the industry, in my opinion. And I'm going to show you why that is right now. So if you type exclamation mark and press tab, it just pops out the whole block of code. So it gives you this skeleton of HTML to work with, so you can see how fast it makes your coding. And it's one of the best aspects of VS Code. So let's go ahead and start creating an HTML form. But before creating the HTML form, I want to bring your attention to three different points that are very important to discuss. Actually, this is from previous tutorial, so we're just going to change it to form. So an HTML form is used to collect user input. Obviously, everyone knows that. The user input can be sent to a server for processing. This part is very important. We're not gonna demonstrate this because for this you need to do some server-side coding, which is we usually use PHP. So we're not gonna do that backend coding. All we're gonna do is just basically create the user interface for now. And as we progress and as we move on to the other languages, then we can start working on processing. So for now, we're just gonna concentrate on the user interface. And the second point is the HTML form element defines a form that is used to collect user input. And the third point is that HTML form contains different types of inputs, other elements such as text fields, checkboxes, radio buttons, submit buttons, and many more that we will be discussing shortly. So now that we have covered that, let's go ahead and start writing our document. So for the title, I'm just gonna write form. So this is the title that would show up over here on your browser. So forms, and then we write our form in between the body tags. So let's start with the tag form and close it. And we're gonna actually, or we're not gonna do that. So let's not style it for now. And next up is the label. So this is the name that, or any other name that would show up in your on top of the form, which you can see in a few minutes. So label for equals say if, or for first name, and the quotes, obviously you need to add that, quotes for name, and we're gonna close the label tag. And in between the elements, we're gonna write first name. So that's the label for that field. And we're gonna have to put a breakpoint here so that we separate the different fields. And now we're gonna have to code the input. Input type equals, this is very important. The type is text. I can explain that on the browser once we actually load the form, so that way it makes more sense. Input type equals text. ID equals if name. So we're referring to this ID, if name or first name. And equals if name or first name, and value, I'll just use my own first name as you know. And we're gonna close the input, and we're gonna add a break line here. And next up is label again. So label for, this is for last name, L name for last name. And we're going to close the label, and in between the elements we're going to write the word last name. I actually forgot to add a column here. I'm going to do that for first name too. And again, a line break. And our next line of code is input. And we're gonna have to add, sorry about that, we're gonna have to add a type attribute. Type equals text again, because it will be a text field. Text, and ID will be L name or last name, and the name that will show up in the field will be my last name, which is actually no, this should be the ID that we're having for the label. So last L name, and now value will be the name that shows up in the actual field. So in this case would be my last name, Muhammad, and we're gonna close the opening tag. And let's add 2 breakpoints so that we have a space, we have a bigger space in between the field and the submit button that we're gonna add in a few seconds. And this would be the submit button. So input type equals submit, and value equals submit, and we're going to close the line of code. So this submit is this is what I was referring, submit button. So in this part you will see a button as opposed to a text field, because we indicated the value of submit, and we're closing the form here. So let's make it a little bit prettier here. So this would be the code for 2 fields plus the submit button. And let's save this and run this on our browser and see how it looks. And if everything is in order, we should see a simple HTML form. There you go. So we have our first HTML form with a field for first name, field for last name, and then submit. So right now this is just a user interface and it's not connected to a backend server such as PHP. If we had done that, and then once you enter values in the field and press submit, these values would be automatically assigned to a table in the database that you can then query that. That's a very low level knowledge to explain it to you for now, but the whole purpose of this tutorial is form, and we have achieved that. So I'm going to go back to the code to show you how it is. So that's all it takes. And again, appreciate your time and effort, and hopefully I will see you in the tutorial number 15. Have a good day.